When you say left with nothing, what do you mean?
I mean, there's different types of scenarios.
Whether specific.
Let's say my husband dies early, or let's say he decides to run off with another girl.
Is this what you used to think, or is this how you think now? Yo, what's up YouTube? My name is Shisha Zed. I'm back in here with another reaction video for you guys. Today we've got a returning guest with us. Please introduce yourself to the people.
Hey guys.
One more time.
Hey guys, I am Felici. Did you want me to tell them my YouTube channel? Just kidding.
You will not be promoting your YouTube channel here ever again. Not after what you did last time. You supported Jessie Woo, man.
I mean,
I will never forget that.
Jessie Woo.
But she's Haitian and you're Haitian.
Of
and
course, I have to support him.
Go ahead, give him your YouTube too, cause
my YouTube is by Felici.
So today we're going to be reacting to the Fresh and Fit podcast. Today's episode is called "Why Girls Continually Fail to Understand Their Role." Right off the bat, what do you think of that title? What are you getting from that?
Basically just like what men expect from women, like the part that we're supposed to play in the household, when it comes to relationship, marriage, stuff like that.
Okay. Pretty good. I think you're spot on. Without any further ado, we're just gonna get right into it. You ready?
Ready.
Let's do it.
Why are men so intimidated by the idea of coming home to a independent woman?
We're not intimidated. It's
I
a
would
headache.
think that an independent woman, like independence, is an attractive quality.
No.
How would you define independence?
I mean, in simple terms, a woman who doesn't need a man but wants a man and wants to be also. I mean, I can provide in my own ways, and the man will provide in his own ways. However that dynamic works, it'll work.
Okay, so you said a woman who doesn't need a man but wants a man.
Yeah.
So
Trust
like,
me, yo.
what do you mean by like? I'm trying to understand what do you mean by not.
I mean, I'm not a child. I don't need a parent. You know, I want to be in a partnership. I want somebody who will, if I'm younger than him, for example, I want him to strive to raise me to his level. Just like I feel like a top tier men are drawn to people who they want to be their peers eventually. They like lifting people up, and I think that in a relationship it should be the same.
Well, I think for me, I think you're viewing it like as a woman. I think it's hard to view it as a man. I think it's a reality thing because there's certain things that you value that men wouldn't value. So, for example, if let's say you made $200,000 a year, right, and your man made $50,000 a year, you would eventually want him to get there. Is that fair to say, ladies?
Absolutely.
And if he was lazy and he didn't want to get there, he wanted to stay at 50,000, would that be a turnoff? If you didn't want to get better?
Yeah, it's not about laziness. Here's another.
Okay, so I've already heard enough. But one thing I want to address, man, I hear this all the time, especially from guests right here sitting in this chair, right? I'm not talking about you. We're going to get to you in a second. Ladies, I need you to understand something very clear. Men are not intimidated by your independence. We're not intimidated by it, right? You can't intimidate a man.
Okay, so what's the problem?
No, we're gonna, hey. You need to relax. You need to relax, man. I am addressing the people.
I'm sorry, this is your
addressing my
platform.
audience.
Go ahead.
There we go.
Sorry.
My gosh. Here's the thing. Too many of you women think that like men are actually intimidated by your, I don't know, success. What is it? It's like, at first I thought like it's just a tactic like of like trying to shame the guy. Like, hey, if you're intimidated, then you know, it is what it is. Why it's not intimidation. It's literally just a headache that men don't want to deal with. Men are intimidated by other men. If we're going to get real here, right? We have to worry about other men, right? By nature, it's just the way it goes. We size each other up. That's our danger. We keep alert. That's who intimidates us. Not you thinking you're independent and that you're strong and whatever. It's cute. but we don't want to deal with it. And I just had to say that.
Okay.
Because a lot of women, a lot of times, will come on this platform and be like, well, if you're intimidated, just say it. We're not intimidated by that. It's literally what a man thinks is, I don't want to deal with that headache.
And the headache is what in particular?
So she said, what's so bad about a man coming home to us, to a independent woman? I was going to add strong because usually they add it in there, but we'll just stick with what she said.
Okay.
She said, what's so bad about that? Well, if he's coming home from work, right, and he's in a stressful environment where he has to compete, he doesn't want to come home to an independent woman who thinks that she's in a partnership and on his level.
Okay.
Because that's going to mean that she thinks, oh, I know just as much as you know.
So they're competing in the household as well.
They're
Not competing, but like there's just some kind of level of like,
let me put it this way.
Okay.
And I didn't like the way I said it, because she might know, she might be intelligent, but at the same time, in order for things to run smoothly in any business, company, institution, anything, you have in sports, you have a point guard, right? In basketball, you have a quarterback, you have a boss at your work, you have an executive, in any type of business. So in a relationship, there is a head. And he doesn't want to come home to a woman who doesn't understand that concept. And he has to continually kind of debate with her, because the way it works, it's like, hey, I'm leading and you're here because you like the way I lead. Men who are leaders, I want to say most men want a woman who is going to be more a helpmate. Submissive,
Okay.
right? Nurturing. Somebody who's going to look at him as the head. And of course, the man has to be a good leader, right? In the first place. But it's not about him being intimidated. It's that he just doesn't want to deal with the headache. He just doesn't want to compete with you when he gets home.
Okay.
He wants somebody pleasant, But what do you think? I just ranted there for a little bit.
My issue with what she has to say is when she said that, I guess she gave a definition of an independent woman, which is a woman that does not need a man, but she wants a man. I did used to think that way back when, I was, I had my own apartment, I was working and, just taking care of myself. And it was always like, I don't need a man. I just want a man. And that's a lot better than needing a man.
So you used to think like that?
I did. I used to think that way. And then I realized, like, what's so wrong about needing a man? What is so wrong with that? What is so wrong with like wanting to come home and after a long day of work or just being out there busy? Like, what is so wrong with coming home and not making any decisions? Not like just letting someone take charge. I don't think there's anything wrong with that. I would prefer it. I don't want to do anything.
But you used to.
I used to think this way.
Why? And this is for the women out there who are currently ready to get in my comment section and tear me down and call me all types of misogynist and stuff. Why did you used to be like those haters right there in the camera?
You guys are not haters, but I used to think that way because I was raised to be independent by both my parents. I watched my mom and my dad's, their relationship. They were more in a partnership, I believe. Like, they both took care of each other. But also my father, he also raised me to understand what it's like to take care of the household. My mom as well. But he also told me, like, both of them actually, I can't even just say my father, both of them told me, like, you got to go to school, make your own money, take care of yourself, because no one's going to do that for you. They just taught me and raised me to understand that I have to do this on my own.
And I understand that to a certain extent, right? We live in a world right now where if you're a woman, yeah, you do have to go get a job and work and whatnot. But what it sounds like is they didn't tell you how to operate with a man being in charge too in your life.
They never really brought up the whole dating and marriage thing. It was never like, oh, gotta get married when you get older, gotta settle down, be a wife. It was always like, go to school, go to school, go to school, go to school. That's it.
I've heard, people like Kevin Samuels talk about this a lot. He would say, the past generation failed the current one because they didn't teach him these things or stress the importance of some of their failures or, didn't pick up on certain things. So, yeah.
Now, don't get me wrong. I definitely know how to take care of the house. I know how to, cook and do all that womanly role stuff. But that wasn't what was made a point or a forefront in my upbringing. And I'm not saying that that's bad, but I started to think differently when
It is bad, though. Depending on what you're looking for.
Depending on what you're looking for.
If you're looking for a man.
I'm looking for a husband that's going to take care of me so I don't have to do nothing. All I got to do is just be at home, take care of the kids.
That's ridiculous. Now you sound ridiculous.
I'm kidding.
You better correct that.
I'm kidding. Well, okay. What I want to be married. I want to submit. I don't want to. I honestly just don't want to be the one making all the decisions.
Because there's a lot of work in being a wife too. You know what I mean? Most women are still going to have to work at least part-time.
Mm-hmm. And I don't mind that. I would love to work doing
you're talking about the idea of a man being the head, making the decisions. Yeah. That attracts you now versus before.
I think it always did attract me. But I had a different way of thinking. It was more just in her way, like...
Delusional. Because how are you going to be attracted to a leader and not want there to be a leader? Or want to be a leader too?
Okay, so again, the way I was raised, I was raised with both of my parents being, on the same level. Okay. So was my way of thinking, where it was always a 50-50.
Can I say something?
It was always a 50-50
Let me say
relationship.
something quick.
Okay.
Real quick. There is no such thing as on the same level.
I understand that now.
Hold on. Let me finish. I'm going to ask you a question, and I'm going to see how honest you're going to be.
Okay.
You said your parents were on the same level. Mm-hmm. You understand there's no such thing as the same level. Mm-hmm. So who really ran that relationship?
My dad.
So you did grow up where you're seeing a man who really did run the relationship.
Now that I'm thinking about it, yes. Growing up, it was like both of them kind of made decisions, and
And so your parents are still married.
Yes.
And now you see how that's worked out.
Yes.
By your dad being the leader.
Yes.
Okay. Cool. Let's get back into this.
Another example, if I wanted to study something and I knew that I wouldn't be able to work for the next 8 years, medical school, for example, then if my man is willing to support me, I want him to eventually be happy with my success.
Yeah. So let me finish my example, and I want to answer your question. So the point is that you guys want a man to get on your level. So guys, if a woman was making $50,000 and you're making $200,000, do you want her to make $200,000? Is that a priority for you guys?
No, not a priority.
So you see, guys, they don't view it that way. They you gotta think about it. Men are conditioned to protect and provide from thousands of years. So men are not looking for a teammate who can do what they do. It's like the best way I can break it down.
But it's not about doing. Sorry for interrupting you. Yeah. I apologize. But it's not about doing what they do. It's about doing me and being supported and supported emotionally. And
here's a problem: a man with options can choose. And unfortunately, you're the worst option. No disrespect. No disrespect. Because here's the reality. There's two guys, right? Mm-hmm. There's a guy that makes $500,000. All things are equal. They're both handsome. They're both tall. They're both successful in their own sense, right? One is a successful teacher making $50,000. One is a successful doctor making $500,000. Which one is more attractive?
I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry. I blinked out a second ago.
Okay, cool. So there's two guys, and everything is equal. Okay.
He hit that stupid sound.
Yeah, he did.
She just straight out blanked out.
In
the middle of it, she's just like, "I'm sorry. Could you repeat that?" She couldn't follow. It's getting too deep for her. Let's get back into it.
Thank you.
One of them makes $50,000. One of them makes $500,000. Which one is more attractive? Everything is equal.
It's okay to say the truth.
I know.
It's okay to say the truth.
Listen.
He said it's okay to say the truth.
It's okay to tell the truth.
Here comes a moment where a woman, she knows what the answer is, but she just can't.
You don't want to be okay, because then you're gonna sound like a gold digger.
Well,
then you're gonna sound like, money's the only thing between that is though. The money is the only thing that's the difference.
Yeah, and what women usually do?
Go for the 500,000.
Go for the 500,000 because women.
Let's be honest here.
It's hypergamy at work, man. Women are about resources. But you see, because there's a camera there, she doesn't want to look bad.
Of course not.
And so she doesn't want to tell the truth. But yeah.
Listen,
The feminism in her won't allow it.
No. I'll answer honestly.
She's
I want
talking.
an equal partner.
I'm just as mesmerized by fancy, shiny things as any other person is. I find that sometimes men who have a lot
No.
become entitled.
Listen. I
no.
just said
Equal.
everything was equal.
Okay, then yeah, for sure, the man who has more because my life would be better.
Because you value that more. So what you got to understand is women who think independence, you like that in men.
Yeah.
A man being independent, a man not needing you, a man to be able to take care of his stuff on his own. That's what you value in men. Men don't want that in women. Because the reality of the matter is, when a woman is really turned on by a man, when a woman is really in love with a man, when she really respects him, she becomes utterly dependent upon him because she does not want him to leave.
So here's what I don't like. My biggest fear is to lose my independence and to rely on somebody else.
And know where that comes from? Where does that come from?
Ooh.
I don't know. I mean, I've been independent since I was 18, and I think it's a very important thing to me.
I know, but where does that fear come from?
I don't know. I don't want to rely on anyone. I wasn't brought up to rely on anyone, and I don't think
Exactly. That came. So what happened in childhood? Either your experience showed you, or somebody communicated that to you. Because you're talking about, I have a fear. You can't live your life according to fear. Imagine me saying, I have a fear of crashing on a plane. I can never get on a plane.
Damn.
So your whole relationship movement is based upon a fear. That's unhealthy. And so what I've noticed is a lot of...
Woo! He's preaching right now, man.
Yeah, definitely.
Shout out
definitely
to
is.
Hafiz.
Yeah,
That's deep.
he did. He said some real shit. He did.
Any thoughts, points, or we could keep going?
I mean, I agree with him. There was something she said a little bit earlier. I think she said something like, I want to do me. But you can't do you in a relationship or a marriage. Like, or let's go back. Let's just stick with marriage. You can't just do you in a marriage. Like,
Yeah.
everything, it has to be ran by your partner. Not has to be ran. It has to be ran by your partner on both sides, I believe. Of course, there's somebody that's going to make the decision, but I do believe in communication and understanding, like, you know, there are certain things that I want to do. There's certain things you want to do. Let's talk about it.
Yeah. That do me, red flag. You know what I mean? It just doesn't sound like you want to really have, especially the type of guy she's talking about. He doesn't want somebody that's, you know, going to do them. He wants somebody that understands his goals and she's willing to fit into that, and he listens to what she has to say too, is open to her ideas. But ultimately, there's a goal, there's a plan. This man is going to pick you for a reason, and it's not to do you. You know what I mean? Let's get back into
Let's do it.
A lot of women, when they move in a relationship, it's based out of fear. You can't live your life based upon fear.
I think it's unhealthy to put yourself in situations where you could potentially be left with nothing.
But that's the mindset.
That's the fear.
You see how you're living your life? You're living your life worst case scenario thinking.
Yeah.
Imagine me saying, I don't want to start a business because if I open a business, I can lose all my money. Because that's a risk of starting a business. You can put all your time, energy, effort, and money and resources into a business and lose it all. So what happens is a lot of women have seen either from divorces in their family, either from their mom whining and complaining, or they've seen a woman being in an unhealthy situation, and now their fear is the worst case possible scenario.
Here's another worst case possible scenario.
But do you not see how living like that is a problem?
I do understand. I completely agree, but I do think that there's a place for responsibility. And women in relationships, because there is a power dynamic, oftentimes can be put in situations where they can't get out.
So here's a problem. You said oftentimes. That is your personal experience.
It's not my personal experience. All of my relationships have ended amicably, and I respect all of my exes. I've never been abused, thank God. I've never had any like negative situation like that where I relied on someone. Never.
So let me tell you why this is your personal experience. Because when it comes to divorce, if you can look it up right now, we have all the data. Women divorce men at higher rates than men divorce women. 70 to 80% of divorces are initiated by women. We have Google right now. We can go ahead and pull it up. So the reality of women being left by men is a misnomer. It is
That's facts. I was going to say it if he didn't say it, right? Most men should be the ones who should be living in that fear-based mindset, right? But in actuality, women are living in that fear-based mindset.
Yeah.
You know, and go ahead.
I definitely I see her point, because that's something that still is a constant reminder in my brain. It's just like, not that they're going to end up leaving me, but it's just like, I don't want to feel like I am left without, because
Left without what?
left without just because that guy might be the person that I'm married to might, I don't know, say you got to stick between, give me an allowance for the week or something like that.
You
or
might have to have a budget.
a budget, that's fine,
And
but
you
can I
might
go
have an
outside of
allowance.
that budget?
Hopefully you're not going to go outside their budget if that's what you agreed with your husband. But you see, like, that's the mind switch that has to happen for a lot of women. Hey, let me finish. Is changing their mindset to understand that yes, you're going to have to cooperate. The problem is that these women are wild beasts.
It's
I'm just kidding. But I'm also serious. Let me explain myself. All right, think of it this way. The problem is that a lot of these women have been independent for so long, right? It's like a wild animal, for lack of better comparison, right? Who's been free, and now you want to put them in a place, in a cage, or not even, it seems like a cage to you, right? Or you want to domesticate them, right? They're going to fight you. This is a bad example. This is a terrible example. But I'm going to keep going with this one because this one makes a lot of sense. There has to be a mind switch here. You know what I mean? Like, you are supposed to cooperate with a man. I feel like that fear, right? That fear mindset comes from them just being free for so long, doing them, and just being independent, you know what I mean? And then finally they think they're just going to just click with the guy. Yes, it is going to be scary. Why? Because you haven't been taught, right, to cooperate with the man. You haven't been taught to be given an allowance. The man has already trained himself to be given an allowance. That's how he gets to making the type of money he does. That's how he gets to being responsible, right? You are going to have some type of, especially if you're looking for a leader, you are going to have some type of constraints in your relationship. So I think what Hafiz was saying there is really important to know, right? He said this idea that you're this independent woman and this fear that a lot of women have of, let me not get married because I'm going to be trapped. I'm not going to have my freedom, right? And he might do me bad. He might leave me, is false. A lot of the times, the truth is, the man is usually screwed over in marriage, right? 70 to 80% of women initiate divorce and they're filing for divorce. And if anybody should be looking at this thing from a fear-based mindset, it should be a man, right? But a lot of times it's women who are going into this thing uneasy because they're hearing all this, I feel like, misleading information that's already starting them off on the wrong foot. I think you made a good point there. But if you don't have any more points to make, we're just going to get right back into the video.
Not talking about, my concern is not being left by a man. My concern is jumping head on into a relationship where I'm feeling like I'm being supported and helped, eventually losing my independence because I'm relying on him. I don't need to work if somebody's paying my rent.
What does that mean?
So I'm explaining. Wait, I lost my train of thought. What did you say a second ago?
What I said is that
women are not leaving men.
Your fear. You literally said the fear.
Oh, okay. I remember what I was talking about. Okay, my fear isn't that I won't be able to. My fear isn't that my man will leave me. My fear is that I won't be able to leave because I'll be put in a situation where I can't leave.
Okay, so that fear is based upon a worst case scenario. You're living your life on a worst case scenario. If you take that energy into business, you'll never be successful.
But
if you tell me,
relationships...
let me finish. If you take that energy into finances, you'll never have any money. If you take that energy into friendship, you'll never have any friends. Mm-hmm. So what happens is that if you're living your life based upon a scenario that a fearful thing can happen, that's on you. But the wise thing to be is to be like, okay, that's a possibility. So how can I, as a woman, find the right kind of man who will support me and help me not make that happen? There's no way possible you're going to find a guy where 100% of the time he will never do anything wrong. So life is a risk. Go ahead.
Thank you so much. Number one, I do think that being a woman in the world, you do have to live not in fear. Maybe fear is the wrong word to use, but you do have to be very, very conscious and cautious of all the dangers around you. And relationships can turn dangerous at a certain point. That's number one. I'm not saying I'm living out of fear, not at all. Every relationship that I've been in.
What does that mean, though? You just said relationships can turn dangerous at a certain point. No one's very fascinated about this, what you just shared.
Mm-hmm.
What do you mean by dangerous? You mean domestic violence?
Also.
Okay, so let's talk about domestic violence. You know what's fascinating?
Mm-hmm.
Do you know domestic violence in lesbian couples are the highest of all couples?
I mean, I'm not. Whether it's.
Whoa. I did not know that.
I think I heard something like that.
Wow.
And I think it's because like it's a woman to woman type of relationship. So it's like two women are fighting. It's not necessarily like domestic violence, but it technically is because you guys are in a relationship together or married together.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Two women are fighting. I feel like the reason why that makes sense to me is right off the bat, men are less emotional than women in most cases, right? You have two women, right, biologically, in most cases, who are, I'm just saying, you know what I mean? I want to be careful with how I say that. But nevertheless, you have two women out here who are fighting, and I could see that escalating because you don't have somebody there who's like, level-headed and, because there's a healthy fear with having a man. You look at him and you say, oh man, yeah, I don't want to get into a physical altercation with this guy. You know what I mean? But
some women, though,
there are some out there. That's for sure. There are some.
They get emotionally involved, and things happen, and one thing leads to another. Next thing you know, she feels like she can fight this guy, when in reality she really can't. But
what makes a woman, like, I've seen that, like women who like get violent with men. What makes that?
Emotions, like especially if like she has like really high like feelings for this person, and things are just not developing or going the way that she might have thought they were supposed to be going in the relationship, or whatever the case may be. And women like to tend to bottle things up a lot, and
so it's just snapping.
Yeah.
Let's get back.
Which is not okay. Which is not okay.
Yeah, definitely not okay, man. Let's get back into this video.
Whether it's lesbians or straights or anything, it doesn't matter. Being in a relationship where you're relying 100%, where you're codependent, is unhealthy, in my opinion.
Codependent,
respectfully.
See, this is what happens when you create straw mans. When you make an extreme. So on one end of the extreme is codependency, where I have nothing without you. Another end of the extreme is where you're probably at, independency. I am without you. But the healthy medium is interdependency, is that I could exist without you, but I not only want you, but I need you.
So can I say?
Let me finish. Because I'm be honest with you, right now, the energy that you're on is masculine energy.
Oh God, no.
Woo! He is preaching right now, man. Let's go.
Oh no, why? Because you're comfortable. And this is the problem. You're comfortable with having to usurp your way. So a lot of times there's no, when there's a relationship, when women say they want equality, there's no equality. There's no two kings in one castle. There's no two presidents in one country. There's no two CEOs of one company. There's always a leader and somebody submits to your leadership. You want to be in charge.
I don't. I absolutely don't. I will say my dating style, I love a man who will support me, lift me up, help me. But at the same time, I'm not going to relinquish all of my...
Okay.
She was going to say lead me there, but she stopped herself and said support me.
Here's the thing. That's what I want. I want someone who's going to lead. I want someone who's going to support. I don't want to make more than my husband. I don't want that. I am willing to let him have the financial support in the relationship.
Let's just say...
One second.
Okay, go ahead.
But I can also understand why she might feel that losing her independence is just not healthy for her, because she might feel like if she loses that independence where she is not providing financially, if something were to happen, she might not be financially secure.
Can you understand why thinking like that is coming from a fear-based mindset?
It is a fear-based mindset, absolutely.
And understand why it's healthy and unhealthy and wrong.
It is unhealthy and wrong, but
because a man,
it's something that you. You just have it in your head like,
what
oh
if
shit,
a man
like what if this really happens?
What if a man got in a relationship with you, right? And he said, oh, you know what? Women now are starting to cheat at the same rate almost as men are. So I'm going to make sure that she doesn't have any friends. I keep her inside.
There's that control.
You know what I mean? That's a man who's also operating under the same
fear.
base of fear. Or that fear could come out in different ways, right? It could come out in ways of being... I feel like people who are, you know, when she talks about like domestic violence and things like that, I feel like people who act like that are acting in a fear scarcity mindset, right? And that's not the norm, so I don't even want to go there at all. But I think that people should acknowledge that what she's saying right now is fear-based, and is it healthy?
It's not.
For going into a relationship.
Agreed. It's not healthy. It's not healthy. I can understand why she might be living in that sort of fear because she has been independent or on her own for so long. Same with me too. I've been independent for so long, but I've come out of that whole I'm scared that I'm gonna be left with nothing.
When you say left with nothing, what do you mean?
I mean, there's different types of scenarios.
You
whether
get specific.
Let's say my husband dies early, or let's say he decides to run off with another girl.
Is this what you used to think, or is this how you think now?
That's what I used to think.
Okay.
It's still something that could potentially happen.
Everyone thinks of it as potentially, but it doesn't drive your decisions.
No, it does not drive my decisions.
That's good.
It doesn't drive my decisions.
My second question to you, and I heard you say something of you want a man that makes more than you, all right? And you can probably find a man that makes more than you. But let's say you found a man who made the same as you, right? Would you be able to let him lead still?
Yes. I think I would definitely be able to let him leave as long...
How about if he made less?
If he made less, if he is exuding those masculine traits that makes him into a leader, absolutely.
Okay.
It's about him being able to lead and making the right decisions and knowing how to make those decisions.
But, here's the truth, man. By nature... A woman would prefer a man to make more, right? That's just the way it is. But it's good that you're open to that as well.
Definitely.
If a man is a leader, you know what I mean?
He just has to portray the fact that he is a leader. Like,
by the way, not all
be
men...
a leader. Just be the leader, and then I will follow. It doesn't matter how much you're making.
By the way, not all men are leaders, and I want to make that clear. You know, there's a lot of men out here who are afraid to compete. That's something I want to start talking about more. They want to tap out of the whole dating experience whatsoever. This channel is not for you if you're the type of man. This has been some recent stuff I've been seeing on my channel. We're not here for complainers. We're here for winners, man. We're out here getting this work and improving ourselves day by day, period. Anyways, guys, thank you so much for checking out this video. Felici, thank you so much for joining me.
Thank you so much for having me.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, for sure. Any last thoughts before we end the video?
Change your mindsets, women. Like, you do need a man. You don't have to do all of this on your own. Like, it's okay to need a man. I need a man. I want a man. I need a man.
That's awesome.
Yes.
Feels good hearing that come from someone other than myself right now. You know what I mean? You start feeling like you're crazy. You need a man. Thank you so much, guys. Listen, if you guys enjoyed this video and you want to do amazing things for me, please hit that like button down below. Also, let us know what you think of the conversation, and don't forget to subscribe to Felici's YouTube channel. She produces some similar content. Hey guys, thank you so much for all your support. Appreciate you to all my new subscribers. My name is Tisha Zed. I'm out. Peace.